way for me to get into town was to drive all the way to Woodford and cross the river there. Like the old New England joke, you can't get there from here, right? Nice idea, if the roads hadn't been clogged with panicked traffic and 100 other people didn't have the same idea I had at the same time. And when I saw that assault ship coming in, trailing smoke behind it and headed for the center of Thompson Corners, I was already in my parents' pickup truck on my way into town to pick up my sister from a friend's house. It was 10 minutes after the first sights got hit. The radio said the governor had just declared a state of emergency, urged everyone to remain calm. Then all communications went out. No radio, no cell phones, no TV, no electricity. I didn't need to wait for instructions. I was going to pick up my kid sister, get back home, and hunker down with my family until I figured out what the hell was happening. Behind the seat was my father's bird-hunting shotgun and a box of shells that were good for quail and not much else. Shows how clearly I was thinking that morning. All my Army gear, including my rifle, were back at Fort Drum in New York State. I was, after all, on leave. Coming over the hill, I saw the ruins of the bridges and nearly crashed into a line of traffic that was trying to get into town like I was. Bill Geary, a volunteer firefighter and a retired captain from the Maine National Guard, was getting people organized to drive over to Woodford and come into Thompson Corners using the old fire road. I, like a dumbass, shouted that my truck had four-wheel drive. Almost everybody in northern Maine has four-wheel drive, even if it's only a beat-up old Subaru. Since I was last in line, I got turned around first, and 3 guys whose car had gone in a ditch jumped in my truck. We roared off like the cavalry coming to the rescue in a movie. By the time we fought through outbound traffic to get across the bridge in Woodford and bounced along the poorly maintained fire road halfway toward town, the Ruhar had already secured the center of Thompson Corners. The town was empty because no humans had waited for an engraved invitation to get the hell out of there. One sheriff's deputy panicked and fired off a couple shots with his 9mm service weapon, until the Ruhar got annoyed and took out the shell station he was hiding in with what looked like an anti-tank rocket. I've seen Ruhar up close since then, plenty of times. No, they don't eat humans, and no, they don't kill babies. Believe the propaganda if you want. I know what I've seen. If that sheriff's deputy hadn't opened fire, the Ruhar might not have killed a single person in town. I couldn't blame the Ruhar. If some idiot was taking pot shots at me, I'd light him up with a rocket too. I know, because I'd done the same thing in Nigeria. Anyway, the Forest Service gate across the fire road was locked. We wasted 5 minutes while a guy 3 trucks ahead of us tried blasting the lock with a shotgun. Surprise! The Forest Service had anticipated somebody trying that, and that lock wouldn't budge. A guy rammed the gate and busted both the gate and the radiator of his truck, which then needed to be pushed off the road before the rest of us could squeeze by and drive through. Yeah, everybody has a story from that day. This is my story, so shut up and listen. One thing I've learned is that Ruhar Army grunts are like grunts across the galaxy. They want to get the combat over with and get back to their barracks, or dens in their case. Did I hate them? Hell yes. But I don't think they meant to kill people, at least except as collateral damage. Whatever their objective was on Earth, these troops had missed their landing zone and were making the best of the situation. Everybody would have been better off if those Ruhar had sat in their busted transport with their thumbs up their asses, called the Ruhar version of AAA, and waited for a tow truck. Combat ops don't work that way. Something gets screwed up on every mission. You adapt and do the best you can to accomplish your objective. This group of Ruhar decided their objective was to secure Penobscot County, whether that made sense or not. The Kristang told us that the Ruhar's most likely plan was to destroy our industrial infrastructure and knock us back into the Stone Age, so we'd be no threat to them. If that was their original objective, they missed it by a couple 100 miles when they landed in Thompson Corners. The Kristang were mostly telling the truth about why the Ruhar hit us, although they lied about everything else, which I'll get to eventually. We shouldn't even be fighting the Ruhar. They aren't our enemy. Our allies are. I'd better start at the beginning. My name is Joe Bishop. I was 20 years old on the day the Ruhar attacked Earth, a specialist in the U.S. Army. Before the Army cut it, I had slightly longer than medium-length hair of an indeterminate blonde-brown color, which I got from my mother. She called the color mouse fur brown, and to dyed her own hair.
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.